Meeting to order. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll? You can do it from there.
Here.
Okay, who's first? Dr. Chase? Dr.
Here.
Chase, C, D, E. Ms. Egan?
Here.
Ms. Decatur.
Oh,
Here.
E, I'm sorry.
Ms. Hazard is absent.
Miss me.
Ms. Healy.
Here.
Ms. Hollerbeck.
Here.
Mr. McCosker.
Here.
Ms. Young.
Here.
Madam Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, Mr. McCosker?
Yeah, sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve with a change.
Okay. And what would that change be?
I'd like to remove, under consent items, 8.01, approval of the minutes for board meetings on June 25th, July 10th, and July 16th.
Okay, and would you like to bring that back at the next meeting?
Yes, please.
Okay,
Thank you. And just for transparency, there seems to be some discrepancies in some of the notes in the meeting minutes, so some members wanted to just a couple more days to eyeball it and make sure it's accurate.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we motion for a amended agenda to remove the minutes and put them on the next meeting from the consent agenda.
I just have a
And
quick,
second. Yes,
I just have a quick
Ms. Young.
question. Do we know exactly what it is that we're looking at in the
No,
changes,
and frankly,
updates?
I haven't been through them all either, so I would like some time to actually look at them.
Oh, it was
before
just that we didn't go, some people did not go through them. Is that,
I did not look through them.
Well,
I
there-
didn't have
gotcha,
time.
one?
But
There-
Ms. Hazard has not had a chance to go through them thoroughly to check for accuracy.
Okay, gotcha.
There's just a lot of minutes there, and before we approve them for the record, I think it's a good idea that we do, I'll have a chance to go through them all.
Just want to make sure that that's exactly what it is. We'll look at it and then approve it at the next one, right? Is that what we're doing? Okay.
It'll be on the consent agenda again, and any changes anybody wants to make, they can, bring forward at that point. Or I'd suggest if there's any specific changes anybody wants to make, that they send them to Ms.
Missy,
Hall.
yeah.
And then she can,
And
include
they
that
sh-
on
they
the
should
on
be
the
just
agenda as
things
well.
that are-
Because
so-
they're draft at this point. They're not final until they're approved.
Right, and the changes are actually items that Ms. Hall may not have captured correctly. Is that what you're referring? Okay. Thank you.
Or that someone might want another highlight. All right, so all in favor of the motion to approve the amended agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Dr. Kisner, we have your school transportation staff report update. Welcome, Mr. Sudduth. You look tired.
No, not at all.
Before you start, I want to say thank you.
Sure, you're
I know
welcome.
I know it's tough, and I think we're encouraging patience.
Thank you.
And I want to make sure, like, what's the extension on your, do we have an extension? Do you have signatures? Dr. Kisner, do you have signatures
No,
on
he's
them?
driving a bus, Ms. Young.
Okay. I understand. That's what I'm saying. I want to make sure that we have you locked in.
Yeah, well.
All right.
We'll talk
Let me
about
not
that.
hear it.
Well, okay, the clock hasn't started yet, so
Right.
your clock will start now, Ms. Hall.
Okay. Are you changing the slides, Missy? Oh, there it is. Okay, good. Just Madam Chair, Board, Dr. Kisner, want to give you just an update of where we are as far as our buses, our whole department actually, and this will be a brief update. This is from a superintendent's memo way back in 2010, and this is when the state extended the recommended time that you keep a bus from 12 years to 15 years. And you can see right in there that it was a money savings thing, and it's just a recommendation. It is not a requirement. I wish at some point they would step up and make that a requirement, but it is not. So the recommendation is 15 years. At the last state report that I completed, our mainstream buses ran 473,182 miles in the 17-18 school year at $3.56 per mile. and special needs was 1,007,595 miles at $4.39 per mile. The difference there in the cost is that our special needs buses carry fewer students and have in most cases, have a driver and an attendant on the bus. So that's the difference. And you can see the star down there. There's a formula that DOE uses. Once our finance department puts their CAFR information in, I get an email that says the state report for transportation's ready, and I plug the numbers in, and they, based on tires, fuel, maintenance, and labor, or and other operational expenses, that's how they come up with those numbers. I always like to see those numbers as low as possible, as does everyone in the office. And when those numbers vary, the state asks us, why are these numbers varying? And we have to make sure that we do have a reason. So here are your body styles. And this is important. On the left is a Type D school bus, and that's your transit bus. You can have a front engine or a rear engine. We have about 15 rear engine buses, and they are reaching the end of their life. And that's a 78 passenger bus. On the right is a Type C bus, a conventional, and that is a 77 passenger bus. And all we're purchasing now are the Type C buses. I like to drive the Type Ds, but the drivers prefer the Type Cs. And while I'm talking capacity, the manufacturers call them a 77 passenger bus. That is, if every student on that bus has a 13-inch rear end. So when we talk a capacity on a bus, the spiel I gave, or the training I gave at the in-service, was that if a student's body does not fit totally in that seat, the bus is overloaded. And that there should be no body parts hanging off of the seat or anything else. Now, if other students won't slide over, that becomes another issue. And then in our fleet, we also have the Type A bus, which is a 16-passenger. It's a van body bus, but it's built to the same federal motor vehicle safety standards as the big buses. And then we have the multifunction school activity bus. We have 3 of those. I'm not a fan of those buses because we have 2 more that we use on trips, but these buses are good for trips, and that's it. The other 2 that we consider our activity buses are yellow, have all the lights, have everything in place so we can use those buses on routes when need be. So there's the overview of buses. Here's what we have: 3 Type A's, 5 activities, 15 64-passenger buses, 171 77s, and 66 special needs. That's our current fleet. Here are the average miles. You'll notice, well, you'll see this from the next slide, the special needs are probably not as old as the mainstream fleet, but they get more miles because there's more need to travel across the county depending on where the programs are and what the students need. And so we're at 117 with mainstream, and our activity buses are running all over the place. They're the newest bus, or the average age is the newest, but they go everywhere. So we get a lot of miles on those. And there's the average age that we're looking at. Now, here's the telltale slide on where we are as far as replacing buses if we want to talk about the 15-year span. You'll notice here in 2000, or we've got 2003 buses which are reaching the end of their life, and there's another slide coming up that breaks this down a little bit more, that we've got 18 out there, and we're going to need to do something with those. Then in 2005, you'll notice that we have, between special needs and mainstream, 30, I can't see, what's it, a 6 up there, 34 buses. We did have 59 of those buses. It was a bad year. We have gotten rid of before the end of their life cycle, sometimes within 10 years of their life cycle, we've gotten rid of those buses because they cost more to fix than they were worth. So that has sort of hurt us. It was a bad purchase back in 2005. And you'll see coming along, we had 1 year with 0. 2016 concerns me, or should concern us, because we've got another bubble there. And that was to help out where these 2005s had left us behind. Here's where we're reaching the end of our lifespan. And I base these not on the model year of the bus, because you know you're probably getting close to where you can go get a 2020 car now, and we're still in 2019. So I base this on our in-service date, when we actually put these buses on the road. At some point during the school year, we're going to have 6 special needs buses that will reach 15 years. And 23 mainstream buses will reach 15 years, and some 16 at some point in the school year. And looking out to 2021, we got 28 more that are reaching that period. And you know, I say that the 15 years isn't a requirement, but as buses go, usually when they reach that point, it's time. It's time to move on. Here's our 4-year purchase history. 15, 16, we look pretty good. 16, 17, and let me back up with that. Each year I have asked for 25 buses because we have found that if we do that for a few years, which it's all out of kilter now, but if we do that for a few years, we'll reach a point where each year we would just need 18 buses, mix of mainstream and special needs. We were on track in 15 and 16. When we came over to 17, that sort of threw a wrench in the plan, and then 18, you'll see, we did have to boost the special needs fleet some because we were struggling with the buses. And at this point, we have 9 mainstream buses ordered and 6 special needs. Well, I'm having a rough time here tonight with math, aren't I? 5 special needs, it's 14 total. And I called the vendor today. They are due in at the end of October. Because unlike buying cars, you just don't go pick them off the lot. They actually manufacture them. Here's our AC buses. Activity, we're golden. Special needs, we're getting closer every day. Mainstream, you can see where we are with that. We've got 18 out of 189 mainstream buses. We have the spares, of course. 15 of the Type Ds, 77 Type Cs. We're at 12, 3 Head Start buses. Due to federal guidelines, we have to have safety restraints. We call them Bessie seats we keep 3 spare buses outfitted for Head Start, because if one of those buses goes down en route, to put those Bessies on another bus, it takes at least an hour to outfit a bus with those. So we try to keep 3 set aside. And then the Type C 64 passenger. And if anybody ever asks, we used about 500,000 gallons of fuel last year at a cost of $1,030,000. And you've been watching fuel prices this year. They've been a little bit higher than they have been in the past couple of years. We had, in my first few years here, we were spending between $800,000 and $900,000 on fuel. And you'll see this year it did pop up and get us over.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes, ma'am.
You might want to go back, if you show this again, that last slide, that last comma in the, needs to be a period,
Oh, okay.
and in the cost.
All right.
Says
Thank you.
It says $1 billion.
It says $1 billion.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, fuel really went up last year.
Our budget is $300 million.
Yeah. Sorry about that. We all missed it. We had 4 sets of eyes on it, and we all missed it.
I just mentioned it in case you use this again.
Right.
That's all. Believe
Right.
me, we know you are overextended, so.
No, we're in good
Doing great.
shape. And daily operations, what you see up here is a route map, and we just use that as a background. Here are some of the challenges. We do reevaluate the routes every year, and there seems to be a misconception that once a route is in place, a route is in place. Well, students move on, and now when we get in a neighborhood, Austin Ridge and places like that, they're pretty much stable because families are in there and the students are there. We have the stop set up, but in other places, the routes are changing. We're always looking for new efficiencies or things we can do to better use our equipment. And then this one, after the open houses, we get flooded. Some of the schools will enter the data, and we do a lot of data entry. I would say we get at least 1,000, if not more, requests for changes. And that's all hand jamming things in. So it sort of slows us down, and that goes with requests between schools and that type of thing. And here were some of our challenges yesterday. Somebody did hit a telephone pole. I hope they're okay. And we lost all of our call center functions. One thing 5 years ago that I really wanted to happen was that our phones would roll over. When the first one's busy, it rolls to the next one, because one of the biggest complaints we get is that we're sitting there looking at our phones and not answering them. And I can guarantee you, we're not sitting there watching the phones ring. And we lost that on yesterday. We didn't have that function. Our poor receptionist every call was coming into her. And she did come back today, though. And they were able to reinstate the call center, but then we lost voicemail. So after the phone rang for a certain amount of time, it would cut off. And then our Versatrans, which we live by, went down from 4 to 4:30 yesterday, what's happening at 4 to 4:30 on the first day of school? We've got our elementary lift going on. So we had a few glitches, and we did have 5 drivers. We were short 5 drivers. 3 unexpectedly just didn't show up yesterday. And with 5 drivers to cover routes, a route consists of 3 runs. So we had a few that weren't covered, and we had to scramble to get that done. That was resolved today. Yesterday we cleared at 6:10. Today we cleared at 5:25. And it's only going to get better. 5 o'clock is about our max, but we're going to keep pushing. Here's our staff, and I would like to say something about the staff. I know I only have 10 minutes. Am I going to get beeped out of here?
You're actually at 14 right now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right, that's all right. No, I
All right.
didn't stop you. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Our staff, you have one of the most, I thought I was going to get the shepherd's hook. That did happen to me last year. Anyway, you have a dedicated staff. When I left the office at 6:30, there were people in there still working, trying to handle some of the additional requests. And if I were to ask them, hey, why are we here doing this? It's not for a paycheck. I asked one the other day. She said, I want to get these kids to school. I want to get them to school on time. We have a dedicated staff from the office, the drivers, the monitors, the technicians who work on the vehicles. And we ought to be, I'm proud of them. I hope we're all just as proud of the job they do. 66 drivers started in 1819. 42 of them are still with us. That's pretty good numbers. Mm-hmm. Some we couldn't keep, physical, background check. A couple of them hit a couple things, and we had to, or they left for better pay. And we had 40 who trained in 17-18 and 20 in 16-17. And over the summer, we lost 16, which was about 5 to 6% of the staff. Here's a telling slide. Our starting pay is $15.76. Prince William is $18.57. Spotsylvania is $17.21, and Fauquier is $16.98. And I know I'm over time. And now I'm feeling nervous,
No,
but
no,
no, I
no,
know
you're
I'm
good, you're
over
good,
time.
you're good. We
But
appreciate
I
you
had a
being here.
discussion at the in-service meeting with one of our 17-year drivers. And she said, hey, I applied in Prince William. And she lives pretty doggone close to Prince William. And when all the pay stuff came around, people said, oh, nobody's going to leave here to go drive for Prince William. It's too much of a drive. Well, I worked in Prince William. I know I had at least 15 people from here who were driving up there. But this particular driver talked to me at lunch at the in-service. She said, Prince William is offering me, I think it was $23, $24 an hour. She said, I've been here 17 years and I'm making 17 whatever and some change. She said, I'm seriously considering it. What was I going to say? I said, I would too, if it's for the betterment of your family. Good driver too, comes to work and takes care of the children. So I just thought this slide was,
Her address.
what's that? Yeah, you go. But I just thought this slide was sort of telling here. And I will say, if you go online, and I don't understand this, but Spotsylvania, if you go online and look at theirs, it's still 15 and some change. I checked, I texted their director the other day, said, hey, what are you paying? He said $17.21, don't pay any more than me. And we did call their HR to confirm the $17.21. All right, retention challenges, once a month pay versus every 2 weeks. I know that sounds simple, but it's a big thing. When a trainee comes to us, they can go up to 6 weeks before they get a paycheck. And we're asking them to quit their job, come in, train with us at minimum wage until you touch the wheel of a bus. And then we have some difficulties with contracting. This is where we stand. We're about 13 FTEs short on the drivers. And I think the monitors is the telling thing, because their pay jumped significantly a couple of years ago. And you'll notice how many FTEs we need there. And we have a lot of extras. Now, on these 13, we do have people we're getting ready to contract. I'll keep Chris and Dr. Kisner up to date on how many that we do have. Recruiting, we put out flyers at all the elementary schools, businesses, trunk or treat, national night out, the radio ads, newspaper ads, message boards, and Cherie's department does a lot to help us in getting the message out. They're a big help. Ways to contact us. We have the MyStop app. If you have children, you can find your bus. Issue registry, we put this in place. A few years ago, there was a crash, you all probably saw about it, in Chattanooga, Tennessee, where 6 students were killed on a bus. And one of the recommendations that the NTSB made after the crash was that there were all kinds of complaints about this driver, and nothing was ever followed up. So we have this now, and it tells us where we are with whether something has been dealt with, what do we need to do to close it out? And we can keep numbers on that. And that's it.
Let me just add one thing. We transport over 17,000 children a day. How many buses, Barry, about 260 on the road?
Each day there's about 220, 225 on the
225 buses. If you do 17,000 times 2 trips back and forth, times 180 days, we transport over 6 million children through Stafford. Obviously, there's duplicate counts. And everyone knows the roads. I don't have to tell you the roads. I just want to mention one other comment. Today I did 8 car and bus duties. And first of all, not only the bus staff terrific, the teachers, the teacher assistants and principals and anybody helping out with car and bus duty get my greatest accolades. But there are some schools that truthfully are designed so horrible for bus and car traffic. So for example, today I was at Gale. The cars coming in mean the buses can't come in. And the bus cars going out means the buses can't come in. So some of the delays we're seeing is truly architecturally designed. And I mean, I could give you, you know it because you know your schools. So we're working, different principals of Stafford Middle School, Park Ridge. We're trying to figure out ways where we could flow the cars and flow the buses, and of course, make sure those schools that are walking schools, that the kids get safe. So I just want to say it's much more complex than I think people recognize. But the number that he stated today, I want, again, thank you and your staff, everybody. In one day, we reduced it by 45 minutes, okay? And I will just say this, and then I really will be quiet. The second day of school, you tend to have a lot more kids on the bus because a lot of parents on the first day want to drop their children off. And the other thing I do want to say, which you know as parents and school board members, because I witnessed this so much in the last 2 days, we double and triple check to make sure kids get in the right car with their parents and on the right school bus. That does slow it down, but it's the right thing to do. So the barometer I'm using, the measurement I'm using the first 7 to 10 days or maybe 2 weeks is safety, that everybody gets where they need to get to. And time will work its way out. So I just, again, I'm just sharing what you already know. But when you think about 17,000 children, and then when you get your emails, please put that number in perspective. Okay.
Thank you.
Just a
Ms. Egan?
First of all, thank you.
Sure.
I know we shortened the summer on you, so that made things a little bit challenging. We also did a redistricting, which made things twice as challenging. So I know you've been getting emails and angry parents and maybe some angry staff members, I'm not sure, but I just want to say thank you, and thank you to the staff too. You guys have been troopers, and I know you're doing everything you can to fix some of the issues that we have. I do have a couple of questions you talked a little bit about special needs buses. Are we getting any assistance financially? Maybe Chris, you can answer this. I know Head Start, we get Head Start dollars for Head Start buses. Do we get any help at all from the state with the special needs transport?
Not that I'm aware of.
Special, as you know, special ed is a related service.
Right.
So that's our responsibility.
So we don't get any extra dollars for
No.
that community, okay. Maybe Chris is another question for you. The new financial system, I thought that we would be able to do twice a month payroll with the new system. Is that not true?
And Dr. Kisner can attest that he's asked me about 20 times since he's been here in about a year. So, no, we can. It takes still.
Yes, we can.
It is something that the system is fully capable of doing, and we can be in a position to do. But it's going to take time for that transition, and it's going to take some staffing. Because it's not necessarily taking half amount of work and doing it first half of the month, half, and then taking the other half and doing the second half, because it's pretty much the same amount of work. Now you're doing it twice a month. A little bit of that is not true. We have some hourly work that's not going to be duplicate, but it's still the same number of employees we have to process, the reporting we have to do for taxes and the wires. So a lot of it is duplicate work that we're having to do twice a month. So within my department, we've talked about this a lot too, and it's something that we can add some staff to, but we have to be more strategic about how we impact the schools when we do that, because we rely a lot on the information from school and admin staff to provide us that information.
Can we add this to our discussions on Saturday, the 24th, or kick it to
So
FAB
we-
or whatever it is? Because,
The list is open.
yeah, because I think this is,
Okay, so.
I
Ms.
couldn't,
Hall, if you can write that down for the.
I couldn't survive
Can go under budget priorities.
as a single
Yeah.
parent. I couldn't survive getting one paycheck a month, and God bless
Right.
you all for doing it, because I don't know how you're doing it. I would lose my mind, and my house. So, yeah, let's see if we can get
Can I
on that.
comment on that?
Are you
Dr.
finished,
I'm not
Ms. Egan?
finished yet,
Let's-
but if it's a
finish.
question
Okay, I just
related-
wanted to
Give me
comment
that.
related,
Yeah.
can I comment related to what Ms. Egan?
Can you hold it
It's all about-
until she finishes, or
But it's in
we're going to have
reference
an
to.
open discussion? All right, we'll have it open. I was trying to let one
Yeah,
person
I was
finish
just
and start with the
answering your question as to, okay, go ahead.
other. Ms. Holden, you're next.
It's in reference to what she's referring to.
Getting back to the school buses, for
Okay.
the private day school, are we transporting for private day school as well, or is that being taken care of by the county?
We do that transport.
Okay, are we getting any assistance from the Board of Supervisors, because that is a county program, it's not a school program, it's,
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Another topic for discussion. And then the last one, I received a message from a constituent down at Marlboro Point, and she reminded me that we had said that there weren't going to be any students on the buses any longer than an hour. And I'm not talking about buses breaking down or anything else like that. I'm talking distance from the pickup point to the time that they get to the school with no issues, with, no traffic or anything else like that. She had informed me that it looked like some of the kids down there are between Marlboro Point and Stafford L are on the bus for like an hour and a half.
Okay.
And if you could just check on that for me and let me know if that's the case, and if so, we need to have a further discussion, because I do remember during the redistricting that we said that there weren't going to be any kids on the buses longer than an hour, so, in regular circumstances.
Okay,
So,
I'll check on that.
okay. So that's all I had. Thank you.
Ms. Young?
You could go down the line, because I was going to refer to and answer what question she had. No, we go down the line. I'm okay. Because I don't have, go ahead, down the line.
Your turn, Mr. McCosker.
I move my time to Ms. Young.
I don't need that much time.
Dr. Chase?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I was walking around my neighborhood yesterday and running into lots of families with little kids waiting for the bus. And everybody was pretty happy. The bus was 25 minutes late, but everybody kind of understood that it was the first week of school, and that's what the first week of school looks like. So I know you're hearing a lot from people who are upset, but there are a lot of people who are certainly very understanding of how it goes the first week or two of school.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, my mic's been on the whole time. Mr. Sutta, thank you for everything you do and your staff and your department. I know that it's challenging at times, but we appreciate you so much. I have a question. I've always wondered, when we bought these activity buses, I'm curious to know if there's a benefit to having an actual activity bus versus buying a regular school bus that can be used for routes and also activities?
Well, and that, when the yellow activity buses were purchased, they were purchased with understorage. You can get that on the yellow buses too, just like you can doing the white or whatever color you decide to paint an activity bus.
And would they then be able to be used for
They-
routes?
Yes.
It seems like a better use of our money to me.
Absolutely, absolutely, because, I mean, while the white buses are nice and they look good, and you see divisions that have them painted maroon and blue and everything else.
That's great.
You can't use them to pick up students.
Yeah, agreed. So the only other thing I'll say is we must do better, and I think that we can do better for you and your staff. And when we have this budget priority discussion, we really do need to prioritize some of these things. There are a few things that are up there that I've seen year after year now, and that shouldn't be happening, and so I apologize for that.
And I just wanted to say thank you as well. I've received emails, I refer them on to Dr. Kisner, but I want you to know that everyone, I've told them how hard your staff is working, to address the problems that come up and what a challenge it is, just generally doing what you do. So I have full confidence that they will get worked out. And you know what, I ask people to have patience and give us a couple weeks to get all this earned out. It's not anything new. It happens, every year. There's new things come up, as you point out. Somebody registers the day before school starts. It's hard to get that in the schedule. And I also appreciate you addressing the safety issue, because I think of everything we deal with, that is, the number one charge is to keep our students safe. And sometimes it may take a little longer. And certainly that's not ideal, and I agree with Ms. Egan. We said that our target was no runs more than an hour, and I think that was a commitment that we made. So hopefully we'll be able to have the resources to make that happen. But thank you for everything you do, and please pass that along to your staff.
I will.
And we appreciate you being here, because I know you must be exhausted.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well,
Right.
the thank you, Madam Chair, that keeps on giving is the pay raise for the bus drivers.
Well,
That's the thank you that just
we've
keeps on
We've
giving.
got the FAB sitting here, and we're going to
Right.
talk about budget priorities a week from Saturday, so there you go. And it's interesting that Spotsylvania is actually paying more that's on their website, because when we do our little research, we're going to be usually looking at, looking at that, so.
But we don't want to let Spotsylvania know they have it wrong.
Well, I think somehow the word may get out, but
They know now.
that's all right. That's important, and I appreciate all that background information. That was really good education for the board as well as the public. All right, that brings us to citizen comments.
Yep.
Dr. Chase.
Sure. Individuals wishing to comment at this time may do so by responding to the general invitation of the board. Speakers shall identify themselves by name, address, and organizational affiliation if the spokesperson represents an organization. Speakers shall also announce the purpose or topic of their comments. 3 minutes shall be allotted to speakers. The chairwoman reserves the right to restrict the total citizen comment received at any particular meeting to a predetermined maximum number of minutes with the approval of the board. Citizen comment which is profane, abusive, or which threatens imminent physical harm shall be ruled out of order by the chairwoman. Although the board provides the opportunity for citizen comment, individuals desiring to register complaints against division employees or division programs, services, or activities may also utilize the procedures outlined in Stafford County Public School Policy 1113, Public Complaints.
Okay, we have 4 speakers that have signed up. I'm going to read those names, and when those 4 finish, if there's anyone else who wishes to address the board, please come forward. And you can sign up on the sign-up sheet on the podium there after you give us your comments. The first speaker is Al Watkins. The second is Matt Sutton. The third is Jeffrey Trigger. And the fourth is Steve Giannopoulos.
Good members, good start. Good evening, members of the board, Dr. Kisner. My name is Alan Watkins. I'm a teacher at Colonial Forge High School. I'm a member of the SEA. I live on Hope Road here in Stafford, but basically I'm speaking for myself here this evening. A little refresher, lest we forget. At last month's lone school board meeting, a few members seemed uncomfortable in rising to support proposed policies of non-discrimination and of equal opportunity for both students and for staff members. Under pressure from a few dissenters, the board deferred a vote that would have inclusively provided necessary support for all members of Stafford schools. While school started yesterday with those policies not in place. If I may, I'd like to use the remainder of my time to speak about what this board, led by those few dissenters, has accomplished since that last meeting to show that they really did truly do support all students and staff members. Nothing. You've done nothing. Now almost another month of nothingness will pass before you decide at next month's school board meeting what you should be doing and what should already be in place. Please do the right thing.
folks. Matt Sutton, Embry Mill. I live over in coastal Garrisonville District. I am representing a small chunk of Embry Mill, like about a quarter of it right now. It's funny that we're talking about transportation. I know that was going to be on tonight because that's what I'm here for. There was an unintended consequence that this board didn't see, the consultants didn't see, or anything else, but when y'all redistricted and you blew Embry Mill over to Park Ridge and then refused to alter, modify, or cancel the pilot program, you hosed up some bus routes. Now, the pilot program is effectively dead. The pilot program between Whiting Creek and Park Ridge was that they would share buses because there's bus shortages and school bus driver shortages, and I get all that, and this isn't a knock on the transportation people. They're doing what they can do. But because of the way it was redistricted, they can now only share 2 buses. So the whole point of the pilot program is that Whiting Creek starts early, ends early. They run their buses. Those buses go to Park Ridge, who then starts late, ends late, and there's only 1 bus load. And all our kids are getting home at reasonable times within, a few minutes of it and everything else. Well, that's not happening. There's only 2 buses being shared. My kids' bus route and the people that live in my section on that bus 140 are now looking at an expected arrival time home when school gets out at 3:50 of about 5, maybe 5:15 p.m. until they can hire another bus driver. Now, I know they're trying to get a bus driver on a route, but we don't have a bus driver. And the answers that we got today from this transportation all over was, there's nothing we can do until we get a new bus driver assigned to your route, and your bus that runs your kids goes North Stafford, Poole, Moncure, delivers Moncure, then goes all the way to Park Ridge, picks up our kids, and drives them home. So it's a 2.5-mile distance, and my kids get out at 3:50, and they're not going to be getting home till 5 or 5:15 till whenever a bus driver gets hired. So when we redistricted, we told you it was not a good idea to send us to Park Ridge. You did it anyway, despite all of that. We then came and begged for you to switch the pilot program around, put Park Ridge on the early schedule to give some kind of an accommodation to Embry Mill. Nothing. We asked about canceling the pilot program. We were told, no, the principals all want the pilot program. The Park Ridge, the parents all want the pilot program to stay where it is. And yet this is a consequence of what's going on. Now we've got kids that, they're not sitting on the bus for an hour. I'll give you that. But they're sitting in the classrooms. You've got teachers now working an hour or whatever outside of contract, and I get it's only day 2. Day 1, I'm going to forgive it, and if they had said, hey, this is just working out some glitches and all that, I've worked in this county. I get it. It takes time to work some of this stuff out, but that's not what we were told. The pilot program isn't in effect. They're not sharing buses. They can't do it because of the redistricting and where all the kids got zoned into Whiting Creek now have too long of a distance, and as such, we're stuck dealing with this situation until hopefully we get a bus driver assigned to us. So please take it back, look at it, see what you can do about it. Maybe you can fix it for next year.
Hello, I'm Jeffrey Trigger, and I live in the George Washington District. This year is the start of some new adventures. A new school for me, a new grade level, a new start time, new students, and a new administration. I can honestly say that this was for the best. The first 7 days have been the best opener I've ever had since earning my contract here in Stafford County Public Schools. And I still get to do the red for ed, although I didn't wear jeans. It's a little hot today. During the work week, our administration took us to Funland as a community building activity, a wonderful way to start the year. And then our principal told us his story about why he does what he does. He never once talked about data. He talked about kids, and he challenged us all to state our why. Why do we do what we do? His speech ended with a standing ovation from everyone in the staff. It was amazing, and I'm getting kind of choked up thinking about it. My why is too long for a 3-minute speech, but in summary, it's because I love enriching those students in the classroom. Later on in the week, we sat down as a staff, and the principal told us that we are an inviting and inclusive building. A student's background, sexual orientation, and gender identity should play no detrimental part in how we educate, enrich, and empower our classes. He doesn't know how much those words mean to me as an educator. I would also like to take a minute to thank you, Dr. Kisner, for talking to me about why I speak meeting after meeting after meeting about a policy that I'm obviously trying to get passed. Now, as an educator, it would be obvious that I'm going to ask the board a question. What is your why? Why did you run for this position? I'm hoping that you can quickly come to a short answer. However, I want you to think about your answer, your why, over the next couple of days, maybe even weeks. For what reason why do you do this? It should include the right to empower, enrich, educate, and protect all students and staff. Unfortunately, we have students and staff at every level in the school system who don't have full protections. I'm hoping that the questions you had at the last school board meeting were answered by a lawyer. I'm also hoping that you have integrity behind your words when you said you were going to vote on this discrimination policy on September the 10th. As educators, we have the ability to create a world filled with hope and wonder when we're on the bus, in the cafeteria, in the library, in central office, and in the classroom. By vote, you, the board members, are educators. Make sure your choices reflect what you want the students to have. Make sure your why is an answer that is good for everyone in Stafford County Public Schools.
Hi, my name is Steve Giannopoulos, and I live next door to the new Ann Moncure Elementary School. And I've got issues. I've got pre-construction issues. I've got construction issues, which I won't burden here for that, but I do have some post-construction issues. And that is the parking on Juggins Road, which, given the first 2 days, I understand that there are possibilities where that would happen. But one of the things that I was assured of was that there was going to be plenty of parking on the grounds of the school, that this would not happen. My second issue is on the lighting. The lights that are on now shine right into my house. I can't even sleep at night because all the glare, even by shutting the blinds. I got metal blinds, but the outskirt of it, they're so powerful that they still come through. That probably would not have happened if the buffer that I was told was going to be left between my property and the school's property would have left. I probably wouldn't have this issue right now because the trees would have been left up. Right now, I've got a very narrow form of trees that's blocking some of the lighting, but that's going to change here in a couple of months, and then I'm going to be stuck. So something needs to be addressed with the lighting. And I believe I also spoke to your office about it several months ago about various issues, but this is one of the post issues. The second post issue I have is on the marquee sign. That marquee sign was never on the initial plans to be on the side entry. It was always on the main entrance to the school. Okay, it was placed on the side entry, which I guess is okay, but it shines, instead of it directing into the road, it directs right into my property because the way the road is curved. It shines directly to the master bedroom window. And the marquee part of it isn't even lit yet. So when it starts changing colors and lettering, I could see what kind of nightmare that's going to be for me as well. And the third thing is the sign for the bus entry. Right turn, here's for the buses. Can you put it any closer to the property line? I mean, I don't live in a commercial street. I used to have a private, quiet street until the school came into place. And now everything is looking so commercialized, and this ugly looking sign being 1 foot away from my property line. And I brought it up to their attention before they put it up, and I was told, well, we're going to put it up now anyway, and we can change it later. Well, I know how the later comes because I'm still having pre and post construction issues. So I don't want to take it as a complaint. I just want to bring it to y'all's attention and see what we can do to resolve these items. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the board? Please come forward.
How you doing? My name's Shannon Spillman. I'm actually with the Garrisonville District, and I want to read something that my wife wrote. I'm here to speak about a situation that my wife brought up to the school board last night. We had several concerns about our special needs son after seeing photos of him being dropped off right next to the drop-off lane at the new North Star. Okay? Walking between cars is what was happening. He was getting dropped off, walking between cars. Within minutes of Dr. Kestner replying to my wife, it was changed. Shouldn't have took that, though. But it did, and my wife wanted to tell you thank you for that. That was awesome. You replied the fastest. We also had some issues with some of the replies that we got before, or actually after your reply. The school wasn't ready. There was other things like that. It was bad. Your architecture thing was spot on, 100% spot on. It's a bad design. But we wanted to thank you for your quick response. It's been kind of beat up you guys today from what I've seen, and that's not cool. We happily watched our son get dropped off today. My wife followed the bus and watched him get dropped off, and he was dropped off in the back today. So thank you for that. That was an amazing thing. I do have issues with the pickup line there. Last year he was in special needs and he went to Garrisonville for it. They do a number system, okay? You got a number that gets on your car. That number is associated to your son, daughter, whatever. The teacher knows, or the person doing that drop-off, that that's where they need to go. Why, for the life of me, do I need to get out of my car, sign for my child, after they've been dismissed, to watch the teacher run back not once, not twice, 3 times before my child gets picked up? That's crazy. When we have better systems in play, it works. It works at Garrisonville. I can tell you right now, I pick up my son every Wednesday from school last year. Every Wednesday I did it. It took me a total of 10 minutes from the time I pulled into the school to leave. That's outstanding. Now, granted, I got there early, so it's probably more like 3 minutes, 4 minutes, because the military guy in me always shows up early. I actually wanted to run for school board because I think you guys are a little out of touch with your people that you represent. We didn't know about North Star being done on Sunday for their open house. There wasn't a letter sent out that we got. We didn't get an email. We didn't get anything like that. You know how we found out? We have a little social group on Facebook that just so happened to have somebody that was on Twitter, and you sent it out by Twitter. I don't tweet. I think my time's up, unfortunately. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it, brother. Thank you.
If you could sign in, please, sir. Is there anyone else who'd like to address the board? Seeing none, we'll close the citizen comment period. Come to the board for board comments. Mr. Cater, would you like to start us?
I suppose so. I'll start by addressing the speakers about Moncure. We've had some emails going out today. Dr. Kisner responded to, as he always does, very quickly, and I appreciate that. We're going to be looking into it, taking care of it. I think I got an email from one of your neighbors as well. So that light, we definitely want to take care of it and see how we can make that better for you guys and be good neighbors now that we're there, and I do apologize for that. I just want to tell the board what a tremendous, I said it at the ribbon cutting ceremony for Moncure. I'm just so impressed, truly. I know that there have been, a lot of issues and setbacks and things that we've been dealing with, but to have Moncure and North Star, quite frankly, open before the start of the school year is just very impressive. I'm very proud of you, Dr. Kisner, and all of your staff members. I think that shows incredible leadership and teamwork, and I couldn't be more proud of you guys. It's a beautiful school. The children there are so blessed to have that facility, and I hope you guys get a chance to go by and see it. It was a beautiful ceremony. Thank you guys to those of you who set it up. was not what I expected. I was told there would not be a podium. But no, anyways, it was beautiful. Welcome back to school, everybody. It's going to be a fantastic school year, and I'm really looking forward to making some strides this year towards, a lot of the things that we've been talking about, and getting some new priorities going, and just making some real strides towards fixing some things that we've been seeing going on for too long.
Thank you. Ms. Young?
Am I allowed to talk?
As
Hello,
long as you
everyone.
want.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. And I was there at the opening of Moncure. It's beautiful. I spent a lot of time there. I wanted to visit several schools, but I ended up staying there, hanging out with the staff and a lot of the new students that came from Hampton Oaks and went to Moncure. So that was really special. Selling T-shirts and brushing up on my Spanish. I thought that was great. Dr. Kisner, coming in halfway in the year and in redistricting something that was not part of your doing, it was already going on, and to be able to pull that off in addition to early school year, and being able to go to the schools, every single school that you went to. I followed you. I thought I was going to be there before you had to it, but you were there before me, so that was amazing. The community engagement that we talked about in the budget meetings, it's happening. North Star, I couldn't get there, but I also didn't know it was opening, so we need to do a little bit better with that. I mean, it's done. And you know what? We could complain all we want. Like you said, we put a lot of kids on the bus. A lot of kids are in new schools, so that could also delay the progress, people trying to find their way. So things are going to settle down, and we all are going to be okay. We have to remember it's about the students. It's about the children. And if we keep that focus, that would be great. For the gentleman in the back, I remember seeing him in his yard, and so I figured that this was going to come up. So hopefully we could take care of those things for him, and we'll go from there. And definitely we need to talk about Embry Mill and the bus system, that I thought that was going to be resolved. So we'll see about that. Other than that, we didn't have the FAB, which is that Finance and Budget Committee meeting yesterday, because I wanted the staff to concentrate on the first day of school. And, thank you, staff. Thank you, teachers, bus drivers, monitors, principals. Appreciate all the background help that you all have given to Dr. Kisner, and loving up on the students. It shows. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Young. Ms. Egan?
I'm just going to say welcome back, everybody. Glad to have you here, and have a great year.
Mr. McOsker?
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. I'll say a few words tonight. Welcome back to the employees and the school leadership, and thanks for welcoming the kids back. I have a small idea of the prep work that goes into it in the classroom, and then on the leadership side here in the building, and all those folks in between, the service personnel. And so I have a small inclination, but it's probably not as near. I'm probably not giving you all enough credit, because I know it starts way early in the summertime, and we did have a very short summer, as we can see. Speaking of the short summer, just one issue I'd like to bring to Dr. Kisner's attention: cooling our schools. I understand that some schools may be turning off the AC during the weekends to save a couple of shekels, right? I just talk to the staff and see if the juice is worth the squeeze on that. When you have a giant building and then you turn it off and then you turn it on early Monday morning, it takes a lot of time for that heat to dissipate with the cool air, and sometimes it's 48 hours. So I'd like you and the team to take a look at that. But let me talk a few minutes about leadership. We heard one of my very good constituents in the George Washington district speak tonight, and he has been speaking for years. about the great things that are happening in the schools. Leaders are leading. Principals are getting their people together and talking to them. Not that that didn't happen before, but I'm actively hearing that now. They're empowering their employees to be active leaders in the school. And you know why? There's one major reason why that is, and that's why I joined the school board, is to get a guy like that in that seat right there. That's why I joined the board. You don't really take care of kids up here. Sit here and shuffle papers back and forth and policy. That's our job. But our job up here is to hire effective, caring leaders. And it pushes down to the 30, 31 schools, that leadership and that vision. And it finally touches the kids at the tip of the spear in the classroom. You know, when you're not a leader, time is spent professionally developing yourself and focusing inward. But once you become a leader, time is spent focusing outward and professionally developing others. And that's what that man right there does on a daily basis. It's not about you doing great things as a leader. It's about getting others to do great things. And that's what that man right does on a daily basis. He pushes away from the desk. It's easy to sit in your office all day, call your senior staff up, start shuffling off taskers to them. Need you to do this. Tom, what the heck you doing? I need you to do this. Grider, what are you sitting around for? That's not what a leader is supposed to be doing. You're supposed to push away from your desk, have those guys and gals do that paperwork, and you get out there and look at the leaders in the school. He checks the checkers. Folks do things that are checked. That's just human nature. He checks the checkers. He gets out there, he says hello, and he gives guidance. He's a responsive leader. Whether it's complaints or praise, he responds, and he responds quickly. You all remember the last superintendent, and there's superintendents across the Commonwealth and the states. They wouldn't answer one email, never, because it's foiable. He's a responsive leader, and we heard that tonight on the podium. He tackles the tough issues, whether it's a tough personnel change or the non-discrimination policy that we asked for because of situations that happen in the school. He analyzes the issue and puts it forth. Talks to folks, and then he makes the hard decision. You might not like the decision, but he makes one. Dr. Kisner is great for Stafford County, and he's great for our kids. It's a tough job, Stafford County. This school board's tough. The board of supervisors are tough. Taskmasters. We need to keep this guy here. Lastly, he's a mensch. Okay? He's a mensch. He's a good person. He truly cares about the folks that he's interacting with on a daily basis. The teachers, his employees, but most importantly, our kids. Let's keep this guy around. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Dr. Chase.
All right, well, that's a hard act to follow, but I also want to just welcome everybody to the school year and say happy first week of school. I want to thank Dr. Kisner, Quentin Sullivan, and all the staff in facility planning, design, and construction who were involved in getting the new Moncure Elementary and North Star Early Childhood Education Center up and running for the first day of school. Dr. Kisner and I met last September to talk about priorities for his first year, and I noted that opening these two buildings on time was a priority. I remember Conway Elementary not opening until November and Stafford High School opening 2 weeks late. When I visited Moncure in April, I was a little worried. But Dr. Kisner started showing up at Moncure's site at random times to make sure people were working. When there was no one there on Father's Day, he was there on Father's Day, and he called the contractor and asked why no one was there. So I'm really glad that it opened on time, and I want to thank our county administrator, Tom Foley, for asking county inspectors to work with us and expedite inspections. The county staff was extremely supportive. I know that there's still a lot of work at both buildings. Punch lists from what I understand, but it was a real team effort. I also want to thank staff for handling the situation at Falmouth Elementary School with redistricting. We had a little glitch in the projections, and so Falmouth was going to open at 95% capacity after this redistricting, and I was very glad that staff was able to come up with a solution that fixed that. And then I wanted to just say something. I know sometimes when you're looking at the board from the outside, you may think we don't do anything. But Chairwoman Healy and I did meet with the attorney, and we had a very good conversation about what the board was looking for and what questions we wanted answered. And she is working on putting that together, and it's our understanding that we will get that on August 24th. And we may have a meeting on September 3rd if necessary to get more questions answered in advance of September 10th. So I do believe this board is committed to having that vote on September 10th, and we are trying to get the information. So just wanted to give you that update. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Chase. I want to welcome back all our employees who were with us last year, and welcome the new employees that we have a significant number of here. The New Teacher Institute was a wonderful experience, and I think everyone was very energized and excited to be with Stafford County. I know we were all very grateful to have them, so thank you, Dr. Kisner, for putting that on, and your staff. Also, just wanted to thank the principals in the Rock Hill District. I did my annual visit of the 6 schools that are in the district on the first day of school, and the enthusiasm was just amazing. And I'm sure it's an example of throughout the county. In fact, I live very close to North Stafford. Even though it's in the Garrisonville district, I could hear that big blue band, going. Of course, I had already been to the gym and back by the time, they started, but I didn't get a chance to stop by. But I look forward to hearing them on Friday nights for football games as well. They are a community band. I consider them. Big Blue. But I know we had a lot of excitement at North, and thank Ms. Johnson for being able to highlight one of our schools, and I think we will receive a lot of positive response from not just this community, but from outside the community for what we were able to show about our schools. But just being at the schools, seeing the staff so excited with their welcome back signs, and we missed you, and the music, and the dancing, just the smiles, whether it's the car riders or the bus riders or whatever. It was amazing, and I know at Brent they put those stickers on the kids as they got off the bus to make sure. And I said, they got on the bus. I said, what happens if the stickers falls off? They said, not a problem. We check periodically during the day to make sure those stickers are still on those children, so that they're getting on the right bus. And I do want to also thank our parents who are showing patience, with us as we work through the transportation issues. I cannot imagine what Mr. Suddeth and his staff, have done thus far and will continue to do to get our children to school, back and forth safely. And as I mentioned to him, I'm so pleased to hear that safety is the #1 priority, because we could be the fastest in the state or even the nation, but if we're not looking at safety, then that's no good. But so thank you to everyone for the wonderful welcome back to the students, and I do expect it will be a great year for the staff and the students, and I think people are already looking forward to the end of school before Memorial Day. I mentioned to Dr. Stemple when I was up at Mountain View, it seems like I was just here for graduation, and here we are starting school. But it's exciting whenever it starts, and I was very, very happy that we don't have 100-degree temperatures this week. It was a beautiful day, weather-wise to start school, and hopefully that will continue through the September timeframe. Dr. Kisner.
Okay.
Superintendent comments.
All right. And I do want to, first of all, thank you for the kind comments. So I've had a chance, just to echo what has already been said, I've had a chance after, yesterday and today to visit 14 schools, and I have to tell you, the excitement is there, staff are great, but I also had a chance to talk to many parents, because I intentionally go on the car ride line. And it does two things. It lets parents to share some of their issues, and also get to know me. And I just would say that overall, that there is a very positive trend happening in our school system. So I do want to thank you as a board and everyone that works for us. As mentioned before, I just want to quickly mention, I did go to the North Stafford open house, and I apologize for that gentleman that he was not aware of it. It was really well attended. We had a backup of parents trying to get in, and there was a lot of little kids, and we had the Head Start Advisory Council, and it was an exciting, it was last Sunday, and again, we're going to have the ribbon cutting at the end of September, I believe, and because there's still a lot of things that we need to, get resolved there. But the kids are happy, and the staff seem very exciting. As already mentioned, at Moncure, we do have a punch list. It's very typical after a building project is completed that there's still work that needs to take place. We believe most of the work will be completed through the month of September, but we would not be surprised if they're there for next, maybe October and November. And I'll just give you a very quick idea of what still needs. Well, they're completing some of the HVAC systems right now. They're still painting some areas of the building. Wood wrap around the library, makerspace, stage, and cafeterias. They're doing that. They're finishing up some door hardware and classroom AV, audiovisual. So these contractors know how to do it where they don't disrupt student learning. And I'm glad you mentioned Quentin. I want to make sure I mention Bryce. Bryce has been the person, our project manager, that's been on site truly 7 days a week, and he's still there, and he's managing this punch list process. And when I know more about North Stafford, North Star, I'll let you know that update. I do also want to mention, I was planning tonight, but truthfully, I would not be doing you a service to give you the first 2 days of enrollment, but the numbers fluctuate so much. They've gone up and down, and we're going to have to expect that for the next few weeks. I think there's two scenarios. One, that some families that are moving into Stafford may not get here till like Labor Day. Most people north of us are still, they usually start after Labor Day. And then we have children that might have left but did not let us know, and we won't officially know until another school system seeks their records. So we are seeing some fluctuation, and that will continue, and that's truly not unusual. Harrisonburg, we always open up before Labor Day, and we saw that usually a few days after Labor Day. So, but our staff is adjusting, and HR is working with the principals and others to making sure that we're staying with the class size reductions. I told you yesterday, I think I emailed you yesterday, we still have 50 openings. Talked to Patrick before the meeting. We're interviewing people. We're now scrubbing our sub list to see if people are hiding that they have a teaching license, and see if there's some teachers' positions. You saw the data I sent you yesterday, and you have to just put things in perspective. We did date to date. So last year, on August 12th, we were not in session, but our vacancy rate was about the same number. Of course, this year, we were in session on August 12th, so it's been a little bit more of a challenge. We have a lot of subs. We have good subs. HR is also working to get people provisionally licensed. I just want to let you know that there are 50 openings, and I will email you by Friday where those, you have in the aggregate, but give you more specific, so you'll get a sense from the schools where they are. Just give HR a couple more days to get that put together. Beyond that, I'm just saying this is going to be a terrific year, and we're going to, I know you're going to do a consent agenda, and then I have a couple of people I just want to welcome as new employees of Stafford Schools. Thank you.
Okay, so do you have a motion for approval of the consent agenda?
Move to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
Motion by Dr. Chase, second by Ms. Young. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries unanimously. Dr.
Okay,
Kisner?
thank you. I want to thank her for being here. I want to introduce, and you have to stand up so you can be embarrassed that thousands of people are going to watch all you.
Millions.
This is Dr. Teresa Lewis, has started the new assistant principal for Drew Middle School. Dr. Lewis served as a secondary educational specialist in Arlington County prior to assuming this role. While in Arlington, she also served as an ELA English, English as a second language specialist. She was an interim assistant principal and supervisor of Office of Minority Achievement. She earned her bachelor's degree from Spelman College, a master's of arts degree in English and English education from the University of South Florida, and a PhD in curriculum instruction from the University of Florida. Welcome to it, and you want to...
Bienvenidos.
Anybody you want to introduce?
This is my husband.
Okay. All right, very good. All right, so a person that I believe you already know, but I just want to make sure everyone's aware of his new titles, his new responsibilities. Dr. George Hummer has assumed the position of Executive Director of Student Services and Special Education. Prior, he's been a supervisor of student services since 2015. He was assistant principal of Rodney Thompson Middle School. He began his teaching career in Spotsylvania County. He has earned his bachelor's degree in Radford. He earned his master's degree in special education and ed leadership from Mary Washington, and he earned his doctorate in ed leadership from VCU. So I think he's going to be terrific. One person I know that's not here, but I know we're all very excited. He'll be starting at the end of this week or coming at the end of this. Mr. John Anderson, he will be assuming the role of Executive Director of Facilities. He comes to Stafford from Kennesaw, Georgia, where for 11 years he's served as the Assistant Vice President of Facilities for Kennesaw State University. It's a large university, over 30,000 students. I forgot how many buildings, but a lot of buildings. He has a very impressive resume. He holds a BS and Master's in Architect. He's a licensed architect, both from Georgia Tech. So we're looking forward to him to do. Caitlin here? No, okay, and just one person I just really want to mention. She's already in our school system. Caitlin Sokoli has assumed the position of teaching and learning facilitator for world language and culture. Recently, she was a Spanish teacher at Stafford High School. She began her teaching career at Brook Point High School, and she taught at Prince William County Schools. So we're very excited to have her.
Thank you, Dr. Kisner. That brings us to action items. 9.01, appointment of a school board member to serve as liaison to the Head Start Policy Council for the term of September 2019 through August 2020. And Ms. Hazard has indicated that she would be willing to continue that if she were nominated, but she did ask for a backup just in case, she's not available at some point.
Move to approve.
Ms. Egan, that's a motion to appoint Ms.
Yes.
Hazard. All right, do we have a second? Motion by Ms. Egan, seconded by Ms. Decatur. Any discussion? I say thank you to Ms. Hazard.
Me too.
All right, do we have any volunteers for backup?
I'll be the
Okay,
alternate.
thank you. All right, so can we include that in the motion? That Ms. Decatur will be the alternate. Sorry, Ms. Egan, I'm sure it's okay with Ms.
Yeah, oh,
Decatur.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yes, and Ms. Hazard thanks you as well. All right, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. 9.02, approval of an amended constitution and agreement for the joint operation of the Commonwealth Governor's School. Dr. Chase, I'm going to ask you to address this, but first we need a motion and a second for discussion.
Move to approve?
Second?
All right, we have a motion by Mr. McCosker, second by Ms. Egan. Dr. Chase, can you
Yeah,
give us a little background?
so basically, these are just changes to dates to make things more reasonable. So, for example, the budget the date for them to bring the budget moves from December 1st to January 31st, because that allows them more time to prepare a budget and have a better idea of what the needs of the governor's school are. Budget and Finance, they've moved when we would approve the budget from January 31st to May 31st, which makes quite a bit of sense, given that we don't know what the budgets are in the different school divisions in January. And then finally, just changing when you need to, if a whichever county is the fiscal agent, and it has been Spotsylvania County forever, but if they wish to change that, they would need to give 1 calendar year's notice rather than by February. So it was just changes in dates. And Ms. Grigsby, who's the director of the governor's school, wanted to be here, but her son had a concussion this afternoon, so she's been at the hospital with him.
My. Thank you, Dr. Chase. Sure. All right, so we have a motion for approval. Is any other discussion? All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries unanimously. That brings us to information items, and information item 10.01 and 10.02. We've been requested to bring these to action this evening, so we'll entertain a motion for those two. And these are items that there was not adequate information to bring forward at the last board meeting. The first one is 10.01, authorization for the school board chairperson to sign an agreement to participate in the Albemarle Regional Migrant Education Program.
Move this item to action, 10.01, to move it to action.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Dr. Chase, second by Mr. McOsker. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion to move this 10.01 to action, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries unanimously. Do we have a motion on the action item now?
Move to approve the authorization for the school board chairperson to sign the agreement to participate in the Albemarle Regional Migrant Education Program.
I'll second it for discussion.
Okay, thank you. So we have a motion by Dr. Chase, second by Ms. Egan. Discussion, Ms. Egan?
I don't understand this.
Good
There,
question.
plain and simple. I don't understand what this is.
Good question. Bring it
Okay, maybe it's federally, if you have a student that's makes the status of a migrant is a student that is in a family where parents move for temporary employment. And Albemarle, we don't have many children like that. I don't really want to get into specific, because truthfully, we just have one, and I don't want to identify that child by a description. So Albemarle County is a fiscal agent, and they would provide services. We would provide the services, but they would be reimbursing us for the services if this child needed services while he or she was a student in Stafford County. School systems in the valley and other places where you have a lot of children whose parents might be working in the agriculture or poultry industry, they would have a lot of migrant children. This part of the state tends not to have a lot of migrant children, so it doesn't really make sense for us to have a migrant department. And Albemarle County is the encatchment area in which we would participate in.
Okay.
So also, I'm just reading this. It says, blah, 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 used to develop instructional programs and projects that ensure that migratory children who move among the states are not penalized in any manner, blah, blah, blah. So in here, there's a few different examples that might be helpful.
Yeah, I mean, I read it, and it's still.
Okay, sorry.
I had to look up the definition for migrant because I had a different impression of what a migrant student was. But is there an expiration date for this agreement, and are we going to be updated if we actually grow with migrant children? I mean, how do we readdress this again?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to, yeah.
Yes, it is for 3 years. They qualify for 3 years, each family. And yes, we are, Albemarle will let us know if there are any more that register through them for us. And then if we grow to 10 families, then we can have our own department.
Okay.
Or we should have our own.
Okay, good. Perfect. That's all I needed.
Anything else?
Great, thanks.
Yeah, okay.
I have one question. If a migrant is disabled, is that covered?
Not under this is not. This is strictly for, wait, can you rephrase your question? Are
Do you mean a
asking
migrant
if
student?
a migrant
Special
student?
needs?
Oh, if they're a special ed migrant student, yes, this will be covered, I'm sorry.
Oh,
I
covered.
misunderstood
Okay.
your question.
Yes, this is a situation where we can be reimbursed for services that we would be normally providing, and that we can provide extra services at the expense of this consortium that we would not necessarily be able to provide. So there's no
Yeah, these are
cost to
extra.
Stafford County for this, correct?
There's none, and this is above and beyond any services that are provided to all kids,
Thank you.
such as tutoring and anything else.
Any other questions? No? All right, we have a motion for approval. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. The second item which has been requested to be moved for action is 10.02, award of a contract to Solient Health, Inc. in the amount of $209,250 from FY20 budgeted operating funds for 2 school psychologists.
I'd like to move this item to action, award of a contract to Solient Health, Inc.
Second.
Okay, motion by Dr. Chase, second by Ms. Young. Any discussion about moving it to action? No? All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All
Yep.
opposed? All right, now do we have a motion for 10.0, well, I guess it's 9.04 now.
Yeah, I move that 9.04, the award of a contract to Solient Health, Inc. in the amount of $209,250 from FY20 budgeted operating funds for 2 school psychologists be approved.
All right, motion by Dr. Chase,
Second.
second by Ms. Young. Any discussion?
Where will they reside? Are they in the front office here, or? Where,
Where do they reside, George? Are they in this building, your building?
are they, I just want to know, are they just
Are
a
they
school site?
traveling?
Are they traveling? Are they on call? Oh, you know?
No, yeah, they're gonna be at specific buildings that will be determined, yes, sir.
Okay, okay.
We only have one lead site that's located in our office, and the sites are traveled throughout each of the buildings.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Back to information items. Ms. Hall, is this still 10.03 or is this now 10.01 since the other one's moved?
Still 10.03.
Okay. I never quite get this numbering system. All right, 10.03, award of a contract to Tire Tread Service, Inc. in the amount of $470,000 from budgeted FY20 operating funds, and this will be coming back for the board for action at the next meeting. Are there any questions about this item? No? 10.04, approval of the FY21 budget development calendar. This also will be coming back to us at the next meeting, and we'll also be discussing budget at our work session on the 24th. So if there's any questions anybody wants to raise, you can bring them with you to the work session. 10.05, approval of the FY21 large capital project priorities. Any discussion of this evening for this item?
Madam Chair, I would just like to say that on the 24th, I'd like to talk about, we do have a bunch of schools, a boatload of schools that don't have air conditioning in the kitchens. And so I'd like to see if we can talk about that on the 24th, and to see how the board members feel about how to wedge possibly some of the large CIP money for something like that, if that's possible. That's all.
Okay, thank you for bringing that up this evening, Mr. McCosker. Dr. Kisner, if we could have some information about the cost, and I would do it by school in case we have to do a phased approach for that we could have that might be helpful for our discussion. Okay, any other questions, discussion?
Yeah.
Ms. Young?
No, I'm looking at 10.5. We're not there yet, right? Are we here?
No, we
Yeah,
are at
yeah.
10.05.
10.05.
Okay, so I was looking at 1 through 7. Why do we have 2 and 6? If I recall, was early childhood special ed phase 1 and 2? Why is Drew so low? I mean, Drew needs renovation. I don't understand why it's not higher. Why it's not at the top of the list?
Are these listed in any particular order?
Yeah, they're in
I can just observe that high school number 6 has been at the top of that list for years.
Yeah.
And it's still set for 5 years from now.
So I think a couple of the things we talked about were capacity, and then we looked at Hartwood and Drew, and we asked a lot of questions about this 92.38% versus the 66.43%, and they kind of explained, we asked questions about the percentages. They explained that the higher the rating is the worse condition, so that's why it's in the order that it's in. We addressed capacity and then
So how can
state of the
Hartwood
buildings.
Elementary be in worse capacity than Drew?
Worse condition?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I guess that's a question for them. I'm just telling you what we were told.
Right, I mean, what staff told us was that there was this facility condition index. Now, we could certainly ask between now and next year for the new people to just double-check those facility indexes for us, and if it changes, it could be moved. But all of these projects are 6 or 7 years out, so.
I understand,
we
but
could-
still, I mean,
yeah.
if this is the ranking, and in terms of early childhood special, are we already out of capacity that this?
Yes.
But in
We opened.
phase
opened
1 and
North
2, I mean, I'm looking at phase 1 and 2, and then North Stafford Fine Arts Wing renovation is all the way at the bottom. Okay. Just saying.
Well, and this is also one of our topics. We're going to have to talk very fast at that work
Remember,
session.
12 o'clock.
Because
That's right, tick-tock.
I'm just saying, I'm surprised, look at the inefficiencies and the deficiencies in that fine arts wing and how old that school is. I don't understand how it didn't make it any higher, but,
It's a question of funds
Yeah.
and, that just how much
I'm
money
saying
there is
making
to
it
do it all.
higher versus, look at the amount. We could get something done that is 5 versus look at the others. But, yeah.
Well, it may be something that we need to be creative about looking at resources and year-end funding and, what may come open. So the fact that it's on here is positive, because there's so many that didn't even make it to this list.
You know what?
But it doesn't mean we can't relook at that.
I
at
understand,
some
you
point.
could see the glass half full, and I'm maybe looking at it half empty, because this thing has been, for a long time, it's been there, it needs to be worked on. I think yeah, I'll take it up after.
No,
at the session.
I think it's a good point that you're making, and, my point is that just because it's last on this list doesn't mean it's gonna get done last. There's always a matter of needs and priorities and, looking, and perhaps there's a way to do it incrementally if funding becomes available, or we
Yeah,
can make funding available.
okay, I just don't want this to be a fairy farm, that's all.
No, is that gonna be a generic now, a fairy farm? You missed it, Mr. McCutcheon.
What happened? Miss Young?
I'm sorry.
Miss Young?
We have a new vocabulary, a fairy farm.
It means a project that never gets done.
Yeah, it's a fairy farm, I get it. Yeah, that's funny.
Not. Okay, all right, I think we're finished discussion on this one, right? That'll move us on to the last information item, 10.06, adoption of a resolution authorizing an application to the Virginia Public School Authority for the sale of bonds in an amount not to exceed $7,335,000, with the objective of providing net proceeds of $6,825,000 for the 2019 fall bond pool. If anybody has any questions about this, I'd address them to Dr. Kisner, and he can share the answers with all of us. That'll be back to us for action at the next meeting. And then we have the announcement of our next meetings of the school board. Our work session, 8 o'clock, August 24th.
I got a sore throat.
And the regular school board meeting on September 10th, and we can now be adjourned. Thank you.
Okay, see ya.
So Jamie, you think I should look at get that list of the CIP list again, or?